So, lads, today we're talking about this, and we're talking about this whole thing, and is it proof that the WNBA players hate Caitlyn Clark? And I don't mean hate Caitlyn Clark. Like, I'm gonna come, well, to be fair, I don't mean hate Caitlyn Clark, I hate Caitlyn Clark person. I don't think any of them do. I don't think that's a thing. But just hate the entire idea. So, we're talking about All-Star voting here, where the players voted Caitlyn Clark as the 9th best player at her position in the WNBA.
Does this finally prove that WNBA players secretly meet in candlelit locker rooms just to plot against Caitlyn Clark? Or is she just too good, too fast, and too unbothered for the league to handle? Buckle up, because we're diving into flying elbows, shady side eyes, and post-game interviews that sound like they came from a Mean Girls reboot. This isn't just basketball, it's a full-blown soap opera with sneakers. Let's crack the code on the Caitlyn conspiracy.
The starters have been revealed today. You got Aaliyah Boston, shout out to AB, Paige Beckers, Caitlyn Clark, Nafisa Collier, Alicia Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, Aneka Ogwumike, Satu Sabali, Brianna Stewart, and Asia Wilson will be your 10 starters that Clark and Nafisa Collier get to choose from. And what everybody is talking about are the player rankings when it comes to the All-Star ballot.
Oh, of course they hate her. That's not even up for debate anymore. It's practically a league-wide hobby at this point. You've got WNBA players out here looking like they just watched their favorite childhood cartoon get canceled every time Caitlyn Clark touches the ball. The body language says it all. Stiff upper lips, sideways glances, elbows with GPS coordinates locked on her ribs.
Let's talk about Caitlyn Clark. In the WNBA All-Star voting, we now know who the 10 starters are going to be. And we also got a peel back the curtain reveal on what the other players in the league think of Caitlyn Clark. This All-Star voting told us something, and it confirms exactly what we think. The other players in the league can't stand Caitlyn Clark. I mean, it's baffling. I've seen some people trying to claim she shouldn't be in the game. She's tied for the league lead in assists, for crying out loud.
And let's be honest, some of these veterans are out there playing like they're auditioning for Survivor Elbow Island. Why? Because Caitlyn Clark walked into their league with a Nike deal, a camera crew, and more fans than half the franchises combined. And you better believe that stings.
If we're looking at the percentages here, let's compare Jackie Young to Natasha Cloud. Even with Caitlyn Clark on her, like, the 56th in points per game, Caitlyn Clark has more points this season than Jackie Young. Sorry, not Jackie Young, but Natasha Cloud. Caitlyn Clark has more points this season than Natasha Cloud. Natasha Cloud, I'm not joking when I say this, has played, am I right in saying she's played 8 more games than Caitlyn Clark? I think she's played 8 more games than Caitlyn Clark. Like, she has less points in 8 more games. She is 3rd in assists, in fairness. Alyssa Thomas is probably going to average above 10 assists per game.
These are players who've spent years grinding in empty arenas, handing out free tickets like flyers at a club, only to watch one rookie show up and get more primetime attention in a week than they've had in a decade. That's not just threatening, that's downright offensive in the WNBA universe.
Your guys' opinion, do you feel like Caitlyn Clark gets kind of targeted at some of these games, or it's just basketball?
Yeah, she get targeted just like Jordan got targeted.
It's a privilege. You're the best player.
The Jordan rules. They had the Jordan rules. When you're so good, yeah, you're going to get targeted. Absolutely. It just is what it is.
Absolutely.
Like come on, man. You got to, like, when you at a disadvantage, like, I feel like, just like boxing or something, if you fighting against the best, you got to do something and junk it up.
And the irony? She didn't even ask for it. She didn't show up with a flamethrower and a crown shouting, "Bow, bow, peasants!" She just started draining logo threes and selling out arenas. Naturally, the response has been subtle. If by subtle you mean borderline aggressive defense, mysteriously swallowed whistles, and team strategies that seem less like basketball and more like Operation Intimidation. It's like every team got the same secret memo: forget scoring, just rattle the rookie. Now here's where it gets even juicier. You'd think with all this attention and fanfare, the WNBA would throw her a bone, right? Maybe give her the benefit of the doubt, let the fans enjoy their shiny new toy. Nope, not even close. The WNBA is looking at Caitlyn Clark the same way a cat looks at a cucumber, suspicious, startled, and absolutely convinced it's a threat. Need proof? Let's talk about the All-Star situation. Fever fans came out swinging. They voted for Clark, they voted for Collier, they probably tried to vote for their team bus driver just to make a statement. Clark didn't just lead fan votes, she dominated. It was like watching a high school election where one kid makes cupcakes and the rest hand out pencils. Fever fans mobilized like it was a political campaign, and Caitlyn still barely made it in, not because of performance, because the league just can't stomach the idea of her being the face.
Sophie Cunningham said nobody likes us about the Indiana Fever, and the player voting returns for the WNBA All-Star Game don't exactly dispel that notion, because Caitlyn Clark received the most votes overall, like captain on the team alongside Nafisa Collier. Another starter, Aaliyah Boston, was right behind them in votes, yet both Clark and AB were ranked 9th by the players in guards and front court.
And that Olympic team, oh boy, that wasn't just a snub, that was a statement. That was the WNBA's version of, we see you, but we'd rather not. Imagine being the player who brings in record-breaking viewership, rejuvenates national interest in women's basketball, and then gets left off the Olympic roster like she's a background extra in her own movie. It's like Netflix rebooting a show and leaving out the main character. The message was loud and clear. Thanks for the ratings, but don't get too comfortable. Of course they'll throw out the usual excuses. It's about experience. Sure, and a raccoon in a lab coat has experience too. Doesn't mean he gets to run the CDC. If it was about talent, she's in. If it was about popularity, she's the first pick. But if it's about protecting the fragile egos of players who've been told they're the future of the league, well, then suddenly she's not ready. And let's not ignore the Fever fan chaos. Even they are confused. One half's out there proudly building Caitlyn shrines with neon lights and photo collage. The other half, voting for anyone with a jersey that isn't Clark's. It's like they've been hypnotized by reverse psychology. Fever fans are out here casting votes like they're playing fantasy basketball with a blindfold on.
She's averaging 18 points a game. I mean, she's in a 3-game shooting downturn. All right? A 3-game shooting slump. And other than that, in the injuries, it's been business as usual for most games.
And yet, somehow it still worked. Why? Because Caitlyn brings a tidal wave of attention wherever she goes, even if half the league wishes she'd surf it back to Iowa. But the funniest part? If fans didn't vote, Clark would be sitting at home during All-Star Weekend with a bowl of popcorn and a confused expression. That's how deep the resistance runs. The league gatekeepers are clenching their clipboards so tightly, they're leaving indentations. If it were up to them, Caitlyn would be left off every marquee and stuffed into a 5-second highlight package sandwiched between defensive drills and layup lines. They say she's not WNBA ready. What they mean is she's not WNBA compliant. And nothing infuriates the bouncers more than someone who refuses to beg for entry. Her mere existence is a walking contradiction to everything the league thought it wanted. They wanted attention, yes, but on their terms. They wanted fans, but not new fans with opinions and loud voices and Twitter accounts that actually trend. They wanted growth, but not the kind that shakes up their internal power structure and makes people ask uncomfortable questions like, why weren't we popular before she got here?
The WNBA All-Star Starters have been announced, y'all. They've been announced. Y'all want to guess who not starting? Hey, listen, some people don't belong in certain conversations. Do y'all want to guess who's not an all-star starter, y'all? It's a snub that should have been a starter. I got a couple people that I think should have been starting, but we will get to that.
So instead of celebrating the once-in-a-generation rookie that's dragging the WNBA into the mainstream spotlight, they've decided to give her the silent treatment, except with bruises and borderline assault disguised as defense. It's a masterclass in insecure leadership, watching the league try to act like it's thriving while shoving its biggest opportunity into the corner like an unwanted party guest. But let's not forget, this isn't just happening on the court. It's in press conferences, post-game interviews, even sideline chatter. And somehow, she's still standing, still smiling, still pulling up from 30 feet like she's shooting from pure spite? Because that's the real problem, isn't it? She doesn't just survive the hate, she thrives in it. She turns boos into buzz, fouls into fuel, and cold shoulders into sold-out games. Every time someone tries to shut her down, she just gets louder, without even raising her voice. She's not just a player, she's a walking reminder that the status quo isn't cutting it anymore. And that scares people who've been clinging to it like it's a life raft in a storm. So here we are, watching one of the most entertaining spectacles in sports. A league that wants to be seen, somehow resenting the one person everyone actually wants to see. Caitlyn Clark didn't create this chaos, but she's definitely become the eye of the storm. Whether she's getting hacked mid-dribble or getting left off rosters like a glitch in the Matrix, she remains the most talked about, watched, and debated player in the league.
When we talk about hatred, when we talk about jealousy, when we talk about pettiness, Caitlyn Clark's name always pops up because that's what she receives on a daily basis. And for the players to vote her 9th in guards just lets you know how out of touch they are. And it's not because of her game. It's simply because of those 3 things that I mentioned. She was ranked 1st by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by the players. And it's just so funny. 9th rated player for a guard.
And that's the punchline, isn't it? The WNBA might not want her, but they need her desperately, unavoidably, uncomfortably. Because love her or hate her, Caitlyn Clark is the conversation. And in a league that's been begging for relevance, she is the relevance. They can keep pretending she's not the main character, but everyone else already bought tickets to her show. And speaking of jokes, let's talk about the latest comedy special disguised as a player ranking. Reese, ranked 12th by the very same peers who pretend they've never seen a camera before Caitlyn showed up. Ranked behind Kiki, yes, Kiki, who most casual fans still think is a Drake lyric and not an actual player. You can't make this stuff up. Reese might be controversial, polarizing, brash, but 12th? That's not a ranking. That's a cry for help from a league still trying to play Mean Girls with a straight face. Now let's be clear, nobody's saying Angel Reese is the second coming of Diana Taurasi, well, except maybe Angel Reese, but pretending she's barely scraping the top 10 while being the only player in the league who trends before she even brushes her edges, that's peak petty. This league claims to want stars, drama, personality, buzz, then proceeds to punish the only ones who bring it. Like, do they want viewers or just quiet compliance? Because right now it feels like the league is the HR department of women's basketball, allergic to charisma and obsessed with order.
How do you feel about the WNBA players bashing Caitlyn Clark?
Okay, so I'm going to state some facts here and not opinions because this is a controversial topic for some crazy reason. The WNBA is a subsidized league. What it means subsidized means is that the NBA basically gives their money so the WNBA could exist because the WNBA does not produce any revenue.
They lose money, actually.
They lose money. Okay, so Caitlyn Clark, a generational women's basketball player, finally comes around where people are like, oh my God, this girl is amazing. She gets drafted. She's putting up crazy numbers. She's entertaining. Ticket sales go up. Revenue goes up. She brings all this money to the league. Also, she turned down a contract in the Big Three, making millions of dollars to go make $75,000 a year in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you go on ESPN and all these things, and all these her peers in the WNBA.
They keep acting like it's a meritocracy, but we all know it's a popularity contest, minus the popularity. The only metric being used is how well do you follow the WNBA code of silent struggle and beige branding. Reese talks too much, celebrates too loud, believes in her own hype, boom-docked points. Meanwhile, players who average 4 points and 3 turnovers are treated like oracles just because they know how to play the humble game and say we win as a team. But let's keep it painfully real. Angel Reese is the only actual star outside of Caitlyn Clark in this whole thing. Not an assistant star, not a cameo, not the girl next door on the team bus. She's the headline. Like it or not, she walks into arenas and the crowd reacts. She goes on TikTok and the internet breaks. She shows up in full lashes and glitter sneakers and dares you to ignore her. That's a star. You can hate the package, but you can't deny the shine. And yet, 12th. Behind players who are somehow being ranked for their ability to avoid controversy and quietly post double singles, players whose highlight reels look like footage from a charity scrimmage. Meanwhile, Reese is out here grabbing 15 rebounds, blocking shots like she's swatting flies at a cookout, and somehow that only earns her a side eye and a not quite top 10 nod? Let's not pretend this is about stats or efficiency or locker room presence. This is about vibes, and not the good kind. This is resentment. This is the league whispering, know your place through a passive-aggressive spreadsheet.
This is supposed to be the most popular players, right? Oh, man. Let's see who got fans, y'all. let's see who let's see who can get some fans to vote. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Starters. We got Aaliyah Boston, the meme machine from the Indiana Fever. We got Paige Beckers, the great rookie out of Dallas, having an awesome rookie season. We got the GOAT, Caitlyn Clark, the one and only. Not the icing on the cake, the whole cake. Not the needle mover, the needle. The one and only GOAT, CC22, Caitlyn Clark.
And the funniest part, Reese is still playing through it. Loud, proud, unbothered, lashes batting like windshield wipers during a storm. She's the kind of player who makes people feel something, good or bad. And in a league fighting for relevance, that's more valuable than 1,000 mid-range jumpers from players who couldn't sell out their own family reunion. Honestly, watching these rankings unfold is like sitting through a group project where the person who did all the work gets a C because she had too much attitude. Meanwhile, Kiki, who, let's face it, couldn't trend on Twitter if she legally changed her name to Algorithm, gets bumped ahead in the rankings like she just discovered the cure to turnovers. It's not just Reese. This whole thing is a soap opera with less subtlety and worse acting. The league says it wants growth, attention, stars. But the moment someone acts like a star, they get slapped down. Caitlyn, body checked into silence. Reese, backhanded in the rankings. Juju Watkins should probably start preparing now for whatever gaslighting the league has lined up for her future All-Star votes. The problem is, the league and its players still think they're operating in a time when nobody's watching.
As you guys know by now, WNBA All-Star captains have been announced. Team Collier versus Team Clark, the top two vote getters when it comes to fan voting. Caitlyn Clark, over 1.2 million fan votes. Nafisa Collier not too far behind with 1.1 million fan votes. Aaliyah Boston was close, less than 2,000 votes away from a Team Clark versus Team Boston All-Star Game experience. That would have been quite the entertainment, but instead we get Team Clark versus Team Nafisa Collier, and something that I think is getting overlooked is who's going to be coaching Caitlyn Clark.
But now people are watching, and what they're seeing is a crew of players so allergic to stardom that they'd rather undermine the ones bringing eyeballs than risk feeling overshadowed. It's like a band where every backup singer is mad the lead got the solo. This isn't unity, it's insecurity, with a side of bitterness. They want to pretend it's not jealousy, that it's about earning your stripes or respecting the game. But come on, if Angel Reese were quiet and average, she'd be celebrated by this crew. She'd be sipping bench Gatorade while the locker room threw her a pizza party. But because she has actual charisma and dares to own her space, she becomes public enemy number 2, right behind Caitlyn Clark. The truth is, the league feels threatened by anyone who refuses to follow the unwritten code of shut up, blend in, and be grateful. Reese doesn't blend, she radiates. She talks her talk and backs it up with numbers, hustle, and a level of showmanship this league has been starving for, but doesn't know how to handle when it actually shows up. So instead of celebrating her, they bury her behind safe picks and bland personalities that make all-star ballots look like witness protection programs. You've got players out here more focused on being humble than being seen, and that's the real issue. In any other sport, showmanship is embraced. In the NFL, you do a backflip into the end zone. In the NBA, you hit a 3 and shimmy like you're on Dancing with the Stars. But in the WNBA, God forbid you flip your hair or talk spicy in a post-game interview without being called immature, cocky, or disruptive.
It's attention. She's better than you. Like, I don't understand, like, why, like, facts and opinion, like, this is not an opinion. Caitlyn Clark's putting up better numbers than you guys ever did, and she's bringing the league attention, which is great for all the women coming up in the world that want to play basketball, that want to have a life and create a life for themselves by being a professional athlete, because women deserve that. So now you're going to turn around, and you're going to try to beat her up on the court, and you're going to try to trash her on social media, and you're going to try to trash her on, like, live TV. Come on. You guys need to do a little bit better.
She is super entertaining to watch, though, I'll tell you.
The league has become the paradox of professional sports, begging for attention, then punishing the people who bring it. And Reese is just the latest casualty of this self-inflicted nonsense. She should be a marketing dream, young, bold, unapologetic, competitive, and marketable. But instead, she's stuck navigating a minefield of eye rolls and strategic sidestepping by players who are still playing defense off the court too. And let's not forget the players doing the voting. It's not just the fans, the media, or the WNBA brass, it's the players ranking Reese 12th. The same players who built careers in front of half-empty gyms are now pretending they're gatekeepers to greatness. The same players who needed Caitlyn and Angel to revitalize the league are now throwing shade like it's confetti at a petty parade. The hypocrisy is immaculate. If Reese didn't exist, half of them wouldn't even have media interviews to fake smile through. So yes, Reese is the only star acting like a star. And that's exactly why she's getting slapped down in player rankings, team whispers, and league side eyes. Because in a world of beige, she's Technicolor. In a room full of whispers, she's the mic drop. And in a league desperate to be seen, she's the only one not afraid to look directly into the camera. It's obvious, and it's hilarious. Because while they rank her low, the world ranks her high. And no spreadsheet can stop a star that actually shines.